right, everybody, you know what time it is. It is time for another episode of the Replacement Level Podcast, your favorite Major League Baseball show that is currently out there. Today, we are going to be talking about some great stuff today. I'm your host, Chris Phillips. I'm going to be going solo today as my counterpart, Rafal Negnuinski, is going to be out today. This is supposed to be his last show. Unfortunately, some things have come up and he won't be able to join us because he is getting ready to leave to go to Israel for school. So he's going to be gone for a few months there. So we were planning to kind of do the one last show together. Unfortunately, like I said, things just didn't work out with his schedule, so it's just going to be me today. But we are very excited for him. Like I said, he's going over to Israel. He's going to be doing this for school, so he'll be taking some classes over there as well. So looking forward to hearing the stories that he has from his time over there. He does plan on trying to join us as much as he can while he's over there, but obviously his schedule is going to be a little bit TBD right now until he kind of gets settled over there. But wishing for him to have a safe trip over there, have a great time over there, Rafal, and I will do my best to keep this show afloat, keep it running smoothly, and bringing some of the best Major League Baseball content we can provide to everybody out there. So for those of us here, we want to say safe travels. Looking forward to hearing your stories when you get back. Have fun over there, and for the fans that are out there, if you see him around town or feel like send him a tweet or anything like that, be sure to do so. He'd love to hear it, I know. And like I said, he will be back. But for right now, it's just going to be me today. Today, we're going to be talking about our replacement level players. The show's named after, or basically with this idea in mind. So we're going to talk about it. Some guys that obviously have not been performing up to expectations and are worthy of, if we could, send this guy down or have him take a seat on the bench for a time being, bring somebody else in who could perform a little bit better, because this guy's just simply not bringing it to the table, not providing the kind of production that either we're accustomed to seeing him do in the past, or just, production that is deserving of being a starter for a Major League Ball club. So I will give you my two guys coming up. We're also going to talk about kind of the big story that's rocked Major League Baseball here in the last week or so, and that is obviously Wander Franco and his dating preferences and choices. So, sure by now a lot of people have heard about it, and it's a very interesting situation, to say the least. There hasn't been a whole lot of information that's come out since the story kind of broke. I've heard some rumors and kind of some speculation, stuff like that, so we will kind of touch on it a little bit here. But, we don't really want to go too much down the rabbit hole of speculation and rumors, because the fact of the matter is we just don't have all the information, we don't have all the facts, and we just don't know a lot of what's going on right now. So obviously that is a story that not only the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be following as it pertains to their star player and their franchise player, really, but also Major League Baseball, as he was kind of looked at as one of the young guys that can kind of help grow Major League Baseball, kind of be a face of the sport as well too. And this is some pretty shocking news and development that's come out for him. So we're just going to dive right into it. Like I said, for those that are unaware, Wander Franco, over the past week or so, there were some reports on social media about him dating his girlfriend. No harm, no foul there, until it was realized the ages. And Wander Franco is 22 years old, professional Major League Baseball player, and his girlfriend is 14 years old. Yes, 14, the big 1-4, not old enough to legally drive a car, not even get ready to do her learner's permit, obviously not old enough to drink in America here or anything like that. So quite the age difference of 8 years old, or 8 years between the two. So yeah, that's caused quite the stir. Now, a lot of what's come out has been the fact that the girlfriend and her family, for the most part, are basically bringing this to light because they are wanting to essentially extort Wander for some money, because obviously Wander Franco is a famous pro athlete making lots of money, definitely lots of money from Tampa Bay for sure, but also there's, I'm sure, other endorsement deals that he has as well too. They were wanting to get some financial compensation from him. They're also wanting to get a Mercedes-Benz from him as well. Wander said no to all of this, and that is what's prompted the girlfriend and her family to bring all this to light and to basically air his dirty laundry. Like I said, it's a very interesting situation. Supposedly, Wander had been dating the girl for a while. She had told him that she was 18 when they started dating. He believed it. He also believed it because the girlfriend's mom signed off on the relationship, giving him permission to date his daughter. So again, that kind of made him think, okay, first, I think she's 18. Second, the mom, who definitely knows the child's age, said, sure, go ahead and date my daughter. And basically helped back his thinking up of that she's, 18 years old and an adult. Clearly not the case. I've seen some people talk about this and they're saying, Wander, you more or less kind of got to, think that everybody who's going to be coming into your lives is basically going to be some way out to get you, to get money from you. And you basically need to be kind of guarded and do your due diligence on these people, like their backgrounds, and not just taking them for their word. And, that kind of got me thinking, like, that's just a crappy way to kind of live your life, assuming that everybody who comes to you is going to be wanting something from you. There's some motive behind them as to why they're basically inserting themselves into your life. And I can certainly understand that to a degree. As a professional athlete, there are a lot of people out there that are wanting to get money from you, hawking ideas at you, saying this is the next best big thing. I just need you to put some cash up front or put some cash down and we can get this thing started and it's going to blow up. It's going to be great. We're going to make lots and lots of money, and you'll have a huge source of income coming to you on the side along with your professional career. And sure, there are some times where things work out well, but then there's also times where it's just people just wanting to get money from you with nothing behind it. And so it does suck, but that is kind of the world that professional athletes kind of have to live in, is understanding that a lot of people coming in are really just wanting to get some money from you, basically any way that they can. And you really have to protect yourself, kind of protect your image, and you really need to have a good set of friends around you to also kind of help protect you and help look out for you and have your best interest, in mind and everything. So it is unfortunate that this is happening to Wander. I'm sure he could have done a lot more of his own due diligence to really discover how old she is. But, at the same time, let's keep in mind, when you fall in love or when you're with somebody, dating and everything, you kind of, there's a period in there where everything is great. It's, it's labeled as the honeymoon phase. Everything's wonderful. They're so cute. They're so sweet. They're so darling, whatever the case may be. Like, it's great. It's wonderful. And then you kind of move out of that phase and you get to know them a little bit more, and you find things like, okay, this is a little bit annoying. This is like a deal breaker, a red flag, whatever the case may be. And the relationship either progresses forward or it ends. But, obviously with Wander, and I don't know how long he's been dating this child, but he certainly could have done some more research, or had maybe somebody close to him do some research to make sure that she is actually what she's saying, like in regards to her age, because there is a big difference in appearance between an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old. Now, granted, there are some people out there who look older than their age, or there's some people out there who look younger than their age, and that, that's just the way it is. But typically within a 4-year age range, or 8-year age range, between Wander and the girlfriend, and then obviously the 4-year age range between her actual age and her stated age, there should be some tells, and also just maturity wise of, this person isn't quite acting as a typical or an average 18-year-old would be. Again, there are people who act more mature or less mature than themselves, but still, Wander, I mean, you got to have somebody that is there to solely protect you, kind of a guy that's going to do all the research, present you with the facts, whether you like him or not. He or she is going to present you with the facts and do their best to protect you and basically let nothing bad happen to you. And it seems like he maybe doesn't have that type of person around him, which has led to this as well. Or maybe he does, and he just simply brushed that person off and didn't want to, deal with it or worry about it or concern himself, or didn't think it was going to come to this. But, unfortunately, here we are. So I'm sure this is going to affect Wander going forward. I'm sure there's going to be some more concerns from him with, again, anybody who comes into his life when they claim things like he's probably going to be very guarded, very jaded about it, and not really trusting of them. And rightfully so. I mean, this is a guy who has a very promising career. Finally had a full, his first like healthy season in the major leagues and having a very successful career. And more or less, this has kind of gone sideways on him. There was a report or a rumor, report on a claim from the investigation that's going on by Major League Baseball yesterday, actually stating that it is very unlikely that Franco will ever play in Major League Baseball again. We don't have all the facts of what is going on behind the scenes, so I can't really talk about this too much. But if that is what is true or what is a real legit possibility based on everything, it's very surprising to say the least, because like I said, Wander was a very young and ascending star, and it's unfortunate that his career could come to an end just because of dating issue. And again, that's kind of all we know at this point, is that he's dating somebody who he thought was only 4 years younger than him, but it turns out to be 8 years younger than him. But, we'll see what happens. This is, again, something that everybody in the baseball community, in the baseball world, is going to be following and paying close attention to, because it is a very national household name. Not only that, Tampa Bay is currently, fighting for a playoff spot. They are currently the number one wild card team. They're battling with Baltimore for the AL East division crown. So it's likely one of those two teams is going to win the AL East, and the other one's going to be the top wild card team when the playoffs start. But Wander Franco is a big, important offensive and defensive piece for the Tampa Bay Rays, and obviously not having him around, it's going to impact them and what they're able to do this postseason and the rest of the season. Tampa Bay is a very deep team. They've got a lot of young talented prospects that they can turn to. They obviously love to mix and match their lineups based on the opposing pitchers. So his loss may not be too bad, as opposed to if it was like another team who doesn't want to do the analytics route so much, doesn't want to mix and match, like say somebody like the Yankees or the Dodgers were like, hey, this guy is our starter. He's going to play every time he's healthy. We'll give him rest days, and that is that. But that's not necessarily the case with Tampa Bay. They do like to mix and match. Now, there are a couple players who they've kind of gone that route of, if they're healthy, they're playing all the time. Wander is certainly one of them. Another one is Randy Rosarina, and then kind of coming in third right behind them is Isaac Paredes. All three of those guys, for the most part, have been getting a lot of playing time, and the only time they're not playing is because it's a rest day, not because of matchups or anything like that. So, again, this is something that is going to be a big impact, and obviously it's going to be a big distraction in the Tampa Bay clubhouse, because other players are going to be asked this question a lot. I'm sure, considering this news has broken and not a lot of new information has come out, questions about it have kind of probably died down a little bit, outside the fact of, hey, insert player X, what's the latest you've heard on Wander and his situation, or what's the latest you've heard from Wander, stuff like that. So, it's probably where we're going at right now until some more information breaks, and then we'll get a whole new round of questioning to his teammates and everything, like, oh, did you know this? Did you hear that? What's your thoughts on it? Blah, blah, blah. So again, this is a big news story. It's going to be a big distraction for Tampa Bay moving forward. And, I'm not going to take sides here and say, oh, poor Wander or poor the girlfriend or whatever, because we don't have all the information out there. It is something, like I said, that is kind of shocking and disturbing, to say the least. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure we'll bring that up on the show later on when more information comes out and we can talk about it, because it is, like I said, it is a very shocking situation that has rocked the baseball world. But moving on to a happier topic in discussing the replacement level players. Again, I don't know. It is happier, but we're still talking about players who are underperforming in underperforming very poorly. So, yeah, I guess we're going from one bad thing to a slightly lesser bad topic. But it is the time that we're going to talk about our replacement level players. And this week, as always, we're going to give you one hitter. We're going to give you one pitcher. We're going to talk about those guys and basically what they've done over the past couple weeks. We try to do this little segment every 2 weeks to kind of keep things fresh, keep things moving. But obviously, we've had some special guests on, which we love. It makes for great shows and just, get a better insight into what's going on in those other teams and their organizations and that kind of fun stuff. So, this 2 week has kind of been delayed a little bit just because we've had some other things going on, which is awesome. But we're going to get back to it. We're going to get back to the replacement level players. And this week I have selected pitcher Carlos Estevez, who is the closer for the Los Angeles Angels. Now, for those that are out there that know me, I'm not a big fan of the Angels. Certainly not to the same level as that team in Houston. I just don't care for the Angels because they're more like they're trying to buy championships and it's almost like they're trying to be somebody that they're not, and it's always failing miserably for them. And so it's just kind of humorous to me. Like they want to go out and essentially buy a playoff team, maybe a World Series team, and it hasn't ever worked out for them. And then you have something like the Texas Rangers who shelled out mega millions of dollars over the last 2 years, and they're currently leading the division, the AL West, and they're currently looking like going to be a playoff team and a World Series contender, no question. So I'm loving the fact that the Angels have spent so much money on Mike Trout, so much money on Shohei Ohtani, with the hopes that those two guys can kind of lead this organization back to the promised land, back to the playoffs, and back and win a World Series. And it hasn't worked out. And I'm kind of loving that. They went out, they bought Anthony Rendon on free agency. That signing has been atrocious. They went out and they got Hunter Renfroe this past offseason. It's kind of worked out a little bit for them. They got Brandon Drury. That's been successful as well, but they did make some good moves, and when I say good moves, I mean moves that have kind of benefited them this season and been positive. But in the end, it hasn't. The Angels are currently outside the playoffs looking in. They're 7 games back of the third wild card spot, and they're 2 games under 500. They've got a minus 18 run differential. They are only 3 games over 500 when they play at home, and they are 5 games under 500 when they play on the road. So again, not a very good baseball team, and we're seeing it. And they were very active at the trade deadline, acquiring some pieces to helpfully make a playoff run, and also to show Shohei Ohtani, hey, we're all in on you. We want you and Mike Trout. We're going to do what we need to do to get you success here in Major League Baseball, get you into the playoffs, get you to a World Series. And I applaud them for that, because the alternative is they could have traded Ohtani at the deadline and gotten I don't know if there's any word out there bigger and better than a King's ransom, but like a King's ransom time 2, I guess, is what they could have got. Like they could have got a huge haul for him, because the dude is the best baseball player right now. And that's not even close. And I would say it's not even up for debate that Shohei Ohtani is the best baseball player in Major League Baseball right now. And there's a very large gap between the guy who is the second best baseball player. And I would say there's really more of an argument as who is the second best baseball player in Major League Baseball, because the clear-cut number 1 is Ohtani. Anyways, we've kind of gotten off on a side track here and side story. But the Angels went out and tried to make some moves to go all in, and it's totally backfired on them. And again, I'm loving it. I find it hilarious. And they did find some success with Carlos Estevez. They got him, I believe, this offseason. He came from the Rockies, and obviously any pitcher that gets out of Colorado is going to love leaving Colorado, because it is a not great place to pitch. Breaking balls cannot break as much because of the thin air. You can easily, as a pitcher, give up a lot more home runs because of said thin air. And so it's a very, very tough place to pitch. And so when the Angels got him, it was, you looked at his stats and it was like, okay, this is a good move. Maybe, it's really hard to discern because his stats were kind of very much inflated during his time in Colorado. He's been good for them on the year. He's definitely shown that he is the closer for them. He's had a little bit of a hiccup, a dry spell, if you will, over the last couple weeks. And so, again, that is obviously why he's a replacement level player. So, over the last 2 weeks, he's pitched 4 1/3 innings. He's recorded 3 saves, which is great. Walked 3 batters, struck out 4. Not the greatest, walk to strikeout ratio you want to see from a closer, especially when you think about closers are always brought in the most high pressure situations where they need to secure this win for their team, and there's typically the heart of the order that they're facing, or there's somebody on base or somebody that's in scoring position, so they need to get outs. They just can't really afford extra hits or extra men on base or anything like that. So again, that 3 walks to 4 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings is not something ideal, something that you want to see. I mean, just over that same period of time, and looking at a couple other closers, Devin Williams of the Brewers, he's pitched 5 innings, struck out 10 batters, walked only 1. Johan Duran of the Twins pitched 4 innings, struck out 5, walked 1. Like, that's something more along the lines of what you want to see from closers, that really much more dominant strikeout kind of guy, not so much the walks. The other thing with Estevez is during this 4 1/3 innings, he has a 10.38 ERA and a 2.31 whip. So the dude was getting hit. And yes, he was able to lock down some saves, which is great. But the dude was definitely getting hit a lot, and he was able, you could say, able to be lucky enough to earn those saves because the guy was giving up runs, giving up hits. And again, when you're a closer, you're put in the highest pressure of situations. You need to come through, and you need to come through with outs and not giving up any runs, and typically not giving up a whole lot of hits. And he wasn't necessarily doing that. Like I said, he got 3 saves, which is good for him. He's able to do it, a few times in there. But definitely for the Angels' sake, if they're wanting to make a push to the playoffs, they're going to need a much more dominant closer than what Estevez has done over the last couple of weeks. And for him, for all players, regardless of what uniform they wear, I do hope that he has success. I think he's had a really good season. Wouldn't be too concerned about it. If anything, I would say this is probably just him with a little bit of a fatigue, maybe, of being in the closer, because this is not what he's normally done in his past. But he's had success in it, and I think he'll be just fine. When you look back on it, I think this will just be a bump in the road. A lot of closers kind of go through a situation in the season where they struggle for a week or 2 weeks or anything, and it just happens, but then it evens out and they're right back to where they were before. So again, wouldn't be overly concerned. I just wanted to take this opportunity more or less to enjoy some Angels misery, because I really enjoy it. It's fun. It's hilarious to me. But the other guy we're going to talk about is, obviously, we're moving on to the hitters. It's going to be Ketel Marte, a former Mariner player that was traded back, handful of years ago. He was traded to Arizona in exchange for Gene Segura and Mitch Haniger, which overall I would say that deal's kind of worked out well for both sides. Obviously, Haniger and Segura are no longer with the Mariners, but they did provide some productive seasons for the Mariners. So it worked out. Ketel Marte has done very, very well in Arizona. He's one of the better second basemen. Got an all-star appearance this year, but over the last couple weeks, he's gotten 44 at-bats, only 7 hits, scored 3 runs, hit 1 home run, drove in 5 RBIs, a nice 3 walks to 6 strikeout ratio there. So, you're looking at your counting stats outside of the lack of hits. Things have been kind of okay for him, like not the best, not the greatest, but during that time he's batted 159 with an OPS of 440. So not something you typically have been seeing from him this season. Again, he's been very, very good overall on the year. Just for some comparisons, on the season he's batted 277 with an 835 OPS, hit 19 home runs. Only made 8 errors on the year, which is pretty good. 48 walks to 79 strikeouts. So, again, a very nice walk to strikeout ratio there for him. And 6 stolen bases to go along with those 19 home runs. He's also hit 19 doubles, 7 triples. Again, he's had a good year, just a bad stretch for him. And, he should be coming out of it here soon. It looks like over the last couple of games is really maybe where he's kind of run into some issues. He's the last 2 games he's only got 1 hit. He's gone 1 for 5, 1 for 4. He wasn't in yesterday's game. Prior to that, he went 0 for 4, 1 for 4, 0 for 4. So a little bit of a streakiness going on. But again, the season's kind of coming down to a close, and there could be some fatigue. So maybe the Diamondbacks are trying to rest him. But at the same time, they can't afford to be dropping games. They are currently 1 game back of the third and final wild card spot. But the interesting thing for the NL is you currently have the Phillies as the top wild card team, the San Francisco Giants as the second wild card team. Then there is a 3-way tie for that third wild card spot, and it is the Chicago Cubs, Miami Marlins, and the surprising out of nowhere Cincinnati Reds. And then after that, you've got Arizona, who's 1 game back. And they've struggled over the last 10 games. The Diamondbacks are 5-5, but they're still right in the thick of things. And when you look at it, it should probably be, when it's all said and done, if I'm going to make a bet, I'm going to place a lot of money on the Cubs being that third wildcard team in there. And one big reason I would say is because of the run differential. The Cubs are a plus 63, Miami's a minus 44, Cincinnati minus 20, and the Diamondbacks a minus 17. Again, run differentials aren't an end-all be-all because you can easily win a lot of games by beating the opponent by 1 run, and then unfortunately you get rocked in some other games by 4+ runs, and so that really skews your run differential. But the fact that the Cubs have such a large and positive run differential means that their offense is really good. And it's, I spent some time in Chicago not too long ago and saw them, and they do have a lot of good players. They're not going to be confused with a big home run hitting team. They don't have anybody that is anywhere close to being a big home run threat. Bellinger would be the number 1 guy that I can think of. But even he's not, when you think home run hitting guys, he's not necessarily one of the top 10 names that comes to mind when you're talking like a Pete Alonso, a Manny Machado, a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., names like that. Shohei Ohtani, we also talked about. So, but he is kind of their big home runner hitting guy. But the Diamondbacks are certainly in this thing. They can certainly make a run and make it into the playoffs. They just got to get going again, and they definitely need Ketel Marte to get back in gear. They also need Corbin Carroll, their star rookie player, and going to be the rookie of the year. You can take that to the bank. But he has also struggled. I did think about including him on there, but he's kind of actually been okay compared to Marte over the last 2 weeks. He's batted .214 and hit 2 doubles, a triple, 6 walks to 11 strikeouts with 3 steals, and they were batted .214 and OPS is .637. So plus, he's a rookie, and at some point, rookies tend to hit rookie walls, and I think this might be him hitting the rookie wall, which is unfortunate, again, because the Diamondbacks are so close to the playoffs, and they really need their guys, especially their offense, to continue to keep chugging along, because their pitching has not been a strength for them, all season long or anything like that. Zach Allen is obviously the ace, and for good reason. The guy's having a fantastic year again, but kind of beyond him, it's a little bit of fingers crossing, if you will, with the rest of the rotation, and certainly with the bullpen. They did make some moves to bolster their bullpen. They got Paul Sewald, who is a good closer for sure. I can tell you as a Mariners fan, I didn't realize how much I miss him until he's gone, how important he is. The late inning situations with Matt Brash and Andres Munoz are very stressful, to say the least. I mean, those guys can bring up any batter they want. They can also walk any batter they want because their control isn't quite where you want it to be or anything like that. It's one of those things as a pitching coach, you wonder if you just tell them, hey, man, just trust your stuff. Your stuff is nasty. Just get it in the strike zone. And guys are going to have a hard time hitting it because it is so difficult to hit. But that's a topic for another day. We're going to stick here with what we're talking about today. So hopefully for the Diamondbacks, the Ketel Marte can kind of get rebounded. He's been good all year long. He's had a very successful career. Again, I'm not going to be worried about him. He'll get his ship righted, and it will help the Diamondbacks for sure. I'd love to see them make the playoffs. They were kind of my sleeper team all season long, and a lot of people weren't talking about them, and you just looked at them and it's like, man, this is a team that if they get some average pitching with that offense, they could be really, really good. Obviously, an offensively led team, but average pitching can help them out as well. But I've heard some people say that the pitching has gone away, and because they've gone away, now we're kind of seeing the real Diamondbacks, and that may be true. It also may just be, I don't know, bad string of luck or whatever. The Diamondbacks are 30-31 at home. They're 32-29 on the road. So they're on a 3-game winning streak, and help get them back into this wild card contention and everything like that. So I think what we've seen from them is kind of what they'll be. Even if they make it in the playoffs, I'm not expecting them to go very far into it. I mean, they're a good team, but they're not a team that I think is a World Series contender or anything. Not especially when you're considering you are going to have to face the Atlanta Braves at some point, or the LA Dodgers as well. So yeah, they're a good team. They're certainly a playoff team. I like the Cubs' chances over the Diamondbacks, but at the same point in time, like, the Diamondbacks, I think, could sneak in and surprise some people, because they've been better than what everybody expected, and I like seeing that happen. So that's going to really do it for us today. Like I said, Rafal is out. He's going to be out for a while now. He does hope to make it on once he figures out what his schedule and his kind of daily routine is while he is over in Israel. For those who are unaware, Israel is on a 7-hour time difference than the East Coast here. So it is about 11 o'clock here now. It would be roughly 6 o'clock if I'm doing the math right in my head, something like that. So it'll be we'll have some logistics to work out for when he can join us and everything. But like I said, Rafal is traveling over to Israel for school, and he's going to try to make this show as much as he possibly can. But for now, it's going to be me driving this awesome, fantastic show here going forward. So for those out there who follow us, continue to follow us, continue to click the like button, hit subscribe, tell your friends about it, share us on social media, share us on all your social media platforms. And speaking of social media platforms, you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Spotify, you can find us on Apple Podcast, and really anywhere else you can get a podcast. We are there. Give us a check, or give us a like, check us out, and share everybody that you found the best baseball podcast out there. We're wanting to get more fans, more subscribers. Obviously, again, I tell you this all the time, like, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on social media, chat with us. We'd love to talk baseball with you. We'd love to get your insight and your information. And as much as we are the smartest men on the show, for sure, we don't know everything, but we'd love to learn more about baseball. And we have wonderful guests that come on. So tell everybody that you come in contact with, say, hey, have you heard about the Replacement Level podcast? No, you definitely need to check it out. It is fantastic. But you can find us on X. You can find us on all the other social media platforms out there. You can follow me on X at C_Phillips_13. You can follow Rafal Negnowinski on X as well. And it's just so weird to say X instead of Twitter. But yeah, hopefully they'll change their name to something better again, but we'll see. But for now, we will see you guys all later. We will catch you next week on another wonderful show. So everyone, have a great weekend.